into the black hole. Sing for my soul.
Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Sunshine on Leyth, the analysis days, the very first one of this save. So for those of you that are new to the channel or new to the save or haven't watched for a while, etc., I do an analysis video at the end of every season. A supplementary video, if you like. It's not required viewing, but it's sort of more interesting for those of you that are after the more analytical side of the game, a little bit, as much as I can give, which, let's face it, isn't actually a great deal, but I do my best, and that's all we can ask for. So what we do is we have a look at the squad, we take a look at the stats of the squad, we have a look at the stats for the team and the league and all the stuff, and see if we can find any ways that maybe we can improve. Now, the first couple of seasons are going to be a bit more... There won't be such long analysis because there's a lot of stuff that we just aren't going to be able to replicate the following year because there's going to be such a huge squad churn. Like, I reckon that the starting 11 at the beginning of next season is going to look night and day compared to what it looks like now, because with the added funds, we'll be able to bring in some higher quality players. I've had a full year of actually scouting a few. I've got a lot of options that I want to go after. We've got money in the bank now that we can manipulate to use to get some decent contracts on these guys, hopefully by, all sorts of stuff now, which is useful. So next season, I think next season's squad is actually going to be way better than this season's squad, but that does mean that there's limited room for us to go, but what we can do is we can look at a player and be like, right, he performed way better in this role than this guy. Let's try and figure out why that is, and then we can use that to identify more players that we could potentially sign. So firstly, anyway, let's go and take a little look. So Ben Mills, obviously top scorer this season, 14 goals in the league, 7 assists as well. Really good year for the guy. He's on a new contract, so he will be here with us next year playing in the 7th tier, and I think, there's no reason why he won't be our starting striker. I've obviously got him working on a few little things about him because he's playing as the pressing forward on attack, which means I've got him working on things like his work rate and his stamina. I've got him doing endurance training at the moment to really try to up that stuff, because that's the one thing he's really missing to be an excellent pressing forward is his stamina and endurance. His strength isn't great either, but you get what I mean. There's obviously Callum Moles, who was on loan from Hemel Hempstead Town, played a few games for us, 12 starts, hasn't played for a while, but a decent-ish player. He probably won't be there with us next season though, so there's not really too much we can say on him. Lee Murphy, who is of course a youngster here, I think this guy's got some decent potential for some things, but he's mainly a bit of a specialist. Very aggressive, great corners and free kicks and whatnot, excellent jumping reach as well, but I do think that there's something to this guy. Like, he's got decent passing, his technique's not too bad, long shots, heading, first touch. I think with the right training, he is only 16, he could actually be something awesome for us. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on his progression as the save goes on. Shea O'Donovan, of course, like, for a 1.5 star to 2-star player, this guy has been an absolute phenom this year. 21 clean sheets in 38 league matches is outrageous. As much as I want to look for another goalkeeper, I just think that Shea O'Donovan's done such a good job, and I'm worried, but we do need to find a better one, really, don't we? Alex O'Keefe, of course, has been on loan from Ossett United this year, basically. 6 goals, 10 assists, so in total 8 goals and 12 assists in all competitions. Absolutely flawless. Brilliant pace, stamina, natural fitness. That's really helpful there. Decent crossing, okay dribbling. His first touch isn't amazing. So what I've been having him work on a lot is his ball control, which works on first touch and technique. So if we can get Alex O'Keefe back, or someone that is of his ilk, then that is a good sign for us, to be honest. Miles Orme is, of course, a youngster, playing at left back for us. Now, again, he's a youngster. He's barely played this year. In fact, I think he made 1 appearance right at the very start. There's, of course, Matthew Overton, who looks like a solid prospect for us. 10 goals for us this year. Did a decent job. Obviously got replaced a little bit later on by Ellis Williamson, but he still put the ball in the net. And our strikers do have a decent amount of goals between them. Ben Mills got 15. Overton got 10. And he played a lot less games than Ben Mills too. So there's definitely something to be said for him. And again, I've had him working on his ball control as well, because his first touch and technique really are lacking a little bit. Jacob Owen, obviously the centre-back of dreams. He is actually wanted, which is a bit concerning. So we may try to get him on a proper contract, move him off of a non-contract basis and onto a proper one, because he's been excellent for us this year. And we did improve a lot once Jacob Owen joined us. It has to be said. So I've been a fan of his. Richard Popple, obviously he's one for the future, although we're really not sure on him. I don't think he has the pace that we want to be that role, quite frankly. Hasn't played well when he has played. Did get a few goals early doors, but I'm not sure about his long-term longevity. Martin Smith, he's another one of those guys that's probably not going to be at the club for that long. He lacks the pace to play at fullback, really, and the quality, and he doesn't really have a lot to be a centre-back either. Jack Taylor, of course, only just joined us towards the end of the season, so we've yet to see that much out of him, but I like him so far. He's got a Man of the Match award. He's done well. No goals or anything yet, but that seems to be Jacob Owen's territory. Rob Toomey, of course, on loan from Bury Town, so we don't know if he'll be back next year. And honestly, I'm not sure if I want him back next year. He's got some good qualities to him, but I do think that perhaps we could do a little bit better in terms of the physical attributes for someone, though he is only 17. And Owen, of course, is one that I definitely think has got a bright future for the club, but to be a centre-back, he's going to really have to work on his aerial ability, and he is only 5'10". Tyler Walker obviously was a disaster of a player because he's not even that great in his other areas, but one where he really isn't great is his pace and his acceleration. He was slow as anything. Ellis Williamson, he is one of my favourites. Now, admittedly, 4 of his goals did come in the Builder-Based FA Trophy, but still, to see him score those was very, very nice indeed. I've obviously got him working on some stuff. He's going to be here next year as far as we can tell. Pleasing so far. Abakar, he's been on loan from Bedford, didn't really play much towards the second half of the season, but he did score that brace in, I believe, the second game of the season, but didn't really do a lot since then. He doesn't really have that pace, nor are his defensive stats actually that great, to be honest. We definitely found much better later on, and that's what I was kind of expecting. Henry Barley, I mean, he did a solid job coming in. He never actually started a single game for us. He was always the backup to Alex O'Keefe. And he did a fine job. He scored on his debut. He got an assist on point as well. He was just a good option. He wasn't as quick as O'Keefe, and he was lacking a few little things elsewhere. But I think long-term, he probably would be much better. But I don't know. I think we can do better next year. Lytton Brave Boy. He had the one start. He's on loan from Yaxley, and we will be saying goodbye to him at the end of this. Raphael Shea. I like this guy. I think there's a lot he needs to work on. As much as he's not thinking it's beneficial, I believe that it is going to be beneficial to him to really work on the things that I've got him working on. And I think long term, if he could just up his crossing and stuff like that, I think I've actually got him working on his final third because his off the ball is really bad, and we kind of want that to be better for a wing back. Ben Eldakin, one of the guys that actually genned here, a couple of assists for him this season. I think he's done a fine job. He's nothing special, but he's done an okay job. I've got him working on defensive positioning and stuff to really improve certain attributes of his. He's okay across the board, but not spectacular. But he's got a good personality, and he is consistent, and he's a big game player, which really is useful. Sam Gibson actually is here permanently, so we'll see. I think we're going to have to look out for someone at that left-back spot next year, and I'm really not sure who. Ollie Humphrey is another one that came in, had a few games for us, but then we just sort of found someone better. So some of these guys might well get released in the summer just to free up some space in the squad for some new boys that are going to be that little bit better. Thankfully, at this level, we've got that option. I wouldn't be surprised if Blackhaven go pro, to be honest. They might well wait another year, but we're not going to be going pro anytime soon. I think we'll need to have better money for that for a start. And also, I think honestly, we'll be semi-pro until we're in the National League possibly, and maybe even a season in the National League as a semi-pro. Adam Jones, really like him. He's on a new contract for next year. He has the pace, which is the key thing. His acceleration isn't amazing. Presumably, as he's got older, doesn't like the big games, as we've seen, and he has seemed to have declined over the course of the year. And I guess it's because he's turning 30. So we do need to be looking out for someone on that left-hand side. Because I like Adam Jones. He's got 8 goals and 6 assists in all competitions, but his actual performances overall have not been spectacular, and he's got a lot of yellow cards. Danny Lawson, on loan from Whitport Town. I think he's been quite good this year. Personally, I think he's done a solid job alongside my man Ben Eldakin. Now, his marking does leave a lot to be desired, and he's not the tallest, and he's very sort of cumbersome for a 17-year-old who's only 5'10", but he does have a great tackle and he's very determined. Aggression kind of helps with that too, so he definitely does a good job in those areas, but I don't know. I don't think he's someone I'd look to bring back again unless we were super desperate, but I think we've got the quality to basically get players in, the permanent players in most positions now, and be able to attract better loan signings. Callum Martin, he's been on loan from Mask. I think he's been fine. He's been a utility player that we can use all across that wing, and he's done okay when he's been in the team. He's mainly just been there to back up other people, really. Scott Maxfield, 43 years old, played a lot towards the start of the season, but come on now. And we're back to Ben Mills. I skipped a few people that didn't really play or on trial and stuff like that, just for expediency's sake. So let's go look at the league stats, because I think this is sort of important. Blackhaven, 60% possession isn't that surprising, but we're quite high up, actually, which is quite nice. A rarity. We're normally quite bad on that one. Stocksbridge got 11 penalties this year. We only won 3, which for a team that dribbles a lot is actually quite low. Cleethorpes, we are very low on the headers too, and which is another thing, because we've got quite short players. We've not been able to be picky this year. We've kind of just had to play to our strengths, and that's not been one of them. And my goodness, Blackhaven have got more yellow cards than we do. Leyth is a filthy place. 97 and 96, respectively. That's a lot of red and yellow cards. We got 6 reds, to be fair, and they got 4. But look at this. Loughborough got 8 red cards this year. Good Christ. We were the second most, but still, that's an awful lot of red cards. This part of the league really was just it sort of goes 0-0-1, and then bam, up to 4s and 5s for every team. Goals scored, Blackhaven, 78. Not a huge surprise there. We did eventually end up finishing 4th on goals scored, thanks to that little run in towards the end with the 2-0 and then the 3-0. So 4th highest goal scorers in the division. That's pretty pleasing. Blackhaven comfortably outscoring everybody. They're completing crosses for days, and we're not. That to me is a key thing. We don't have good enough crossers in all of our wide positions, and we do use them. So definitely something to look into potentially. They completed a lot of crosses. So did we. Well, comparatively speaking. So not too bad. Goals from corners. 7. That's pretty good. Blackhaven sort of struggling behind us a little bit, but they do score a lot. 8 direct free kicks. That is Owen Sinclair. That guy must have insane direct free kicks, and 11 from indirect as well. Good, that's 19 goals right there just from free kicks. Crazy stuff. Pass completion at 80%. Not surprising. They absolutely dominated the ball against us. Passes completed not that much more than Glossop, and obviously we were right down at the... Whoa, we didn't even complete 10,000 passes. This is that Route 1 nonsense that we're talking about. But we did create the most chances in the entire division, which admittedly, as a human player, isn't actually that difficult, because if that's what you're aiming for, to just try to create chances, you can do it. The problem comes when trying to get players to actually take the chances. That's when things start to change. And we do hit the target the most, which is very, very encouraging. 315 shots on target. Literally over 100 shots more than us. Crazy. Lincoln United had the best conversion rate. They just obviously didn't have enough shots in total at all. So, very much clear. They were fouled a lot, which makes sense because, of course, they kept the ball so much. But we have the most dribbles per game, just about, which makes sense because we play a very dribbly team. But defensively, the best defense in the league. This is something that doesn't happen for me very often on FM. So the fact that we've actually been 6 goals less than anyone else, to concede 27 times in 38 league games is very, very good. I will take that happily to the bank. We've not been great at defending corners, but not the worst. Could be Spalding United after all. Conceded from direct free kicks. We conceded 2 of those, but what on earth are Cleethorpes doing? Was that just all Owen Sinclair? Conceded from indirect free kicks, 4. It's not bad. There's a lot of defence. I mean, look at this. 21 clean sheets as well for Shea O'Donovan. For a goalkeeper of that quality to get that many clean sheets is utterly outrageous. And really, really pleasing, to be honest. Fouls made, obviously the most. We're a very foul-y bunch. But they've won more tackles than us, which doesn't surprise me. Tackles won, we are right down at the bottom. Penalties conceded, we've had a couple. Chasetown just cannot stop conceding them. Average attendance, they actually have the highest average attendance, which makes sense, I suppose. They've got the biggest stadium. But, yeah, by capacity, that's all us, boys. And then highest attendance, well, we had that one for the derby, and presumably their highest attendance was probably in their version of the derby as well. Right, so let's have a little look at the player individual stats. Now, you're expecting the usual suspects to be towards the top. So games 1, it's just all... Well, it's actually not. Few Blackhaven players. Adam Doyle, he's the guy that's moved to Harrogate, so he won't be with them next year no matter what happens. And they've got a few real players in there too. Red cards. I mean, Eldakin got sent off twice. Maxfield once. Noakesy once, of course. Popple's in there too. Player of the Match Award, Scott Verner with 9, but Ben Mills got 7. That's good news. Nobody else even really came close for us on that one, unfortunately. Distance cover per 90 minutes. Alex O'Keefe and Adam Jones. I think this is where we've really benefited, having hard-working right and left-sided players. And they're not even that great for their roles, but I think if we can keep looking for more people like that, there's a real option for us. Average rating overall, amazingly, Nick Okoro and Alex Peterson finished with higher ones. Alex O'Keefe was actually higher than them both at one point, but he sort of slipped away. Millsy's in there too, as is Overton. Good news for us there. Scott Vernon wants 400 headers this year. That's a lot, particularly as a striker as well. Goals being scored, Ben Mills, 9th overall with his 14 goals in 33 matches. Overton actually has a better minutes per goal ratio. Interestingly, I think the only reason that Williamson isn't on there is because he hasn't played enough games. Minutes per goal, yeah, Overton by far the best out of us anyway, but Luke Mangum as well. That's really, really good. I think he must have been injured a lot, or they just didn't play him enough, it would seem. Nick Okoro, I mean, this is the thing, right? We've not got anyone on this, which means we're actually really clinical with our chances. Like, shots on target, Ben Mills is up there, but he's not actually had that many shots. I don't know what his conversion ratio is like, but I mean, that shows you everything. 68% shots on target. Very, very good news. Conversion ratio, amazingly, is all about Jacob Owen because he doesn't get many shots. When he does, they're generally good chances. Key passes, Alex O'Keefe, 42. Excellent news. My God, Middleton looks like quite the player, doesn't he? We can maybe look after him potentially next season. What's he actually like? He's a central midfielder. Then again, he could play a bit deeper. You never know. Where were we? Chances created. Alex O'Keefe, 24 chances created. Very good. Ben Mills on 16 as well. Owen Sinclair's pass completion. He seems like a midfield. He's only 17. 8 assists this year. 47 key passes for Owen Sinclair, and he's 17 years old. He is not going to be with Blackhaven for very long, is he? Let's just take a little look at him. We don't really know everything about him. We don't know his free kicks, but look at the technique on the guy. Good, sweet lord. I'd be surprised if they can hang on to a lot of these players in the summer, but they'll have the money to bring in new ones. So even if they don't, then there's still going to be a lot of players coming around there. So, a 17-year-old called Robert Whitten at Spalding. He must have quite good dribbling there. What? Dribbles per 90 minutes. Did he not play enough matches? How has he got 4.2 dribbles per 90 minutes when he's only got between 1 and 5 dribbling? Is he really quick? He's very, very quick. That is interesting. I might just get a scout report on him. so that we get a chance to see what he's actually like, because that is an insane number. His dribbling is poor, but the pure pace is definitely worth looking at. Defensively, Ross Kelly and Gourlay just absolutely dominating for Blackhaven, and Michael Holmes in there as well. We've got Adam Jones, amazingly, as one of our highest tacklers. Mistakes leading to goal, Ollie Humphrey. I mean, that's a reason why he shouldn't be in the team right there. Alex Lingard made a lot of mistakes, and Rob Toomey as well. Mother of Christ. Yeah, he's very young, but like I think he was a bad choice this year. He scored us a penalty that won us the playoff final, so I guess it's that. But I'm not super worried about getting him back next year. Let's put it that way. Key headers: Tom Latham, Nick Sandy, of course, the unbelievable goal scorer for him. Dylan Coggill with the interceptions. I thought that was Regan Booty for a second there. Shots blocked, goals conceded. Wait, what? Oh, because he played way less matches. I mean, that says it all, really, doesn't it? That Dale Latham, yeah, sure, he wins, but he's also played literally half the number of games. 21 clean sheets for Shea O'Donovan. Nobody even really comes close to him on that one. And he's barely had to... I mean, he's still made a lot of saves, in fairness. That's the other thing. He's not, like, at the very bottom, like where Marlon Williams is. Like, this is the thing. Marlon Williams got 16 clean sheets this season, which is good, don't get me wrong. But where was he? Like, he's 14th on saves held, and he's 19th in terms of saves parried, so he's not actually facing that many shots, whereas my man Shea O'Donovan is, and he's even saved a penalty this season. Like, the guy is a god, really, really is. Right, let's take a little look at some more nebulous sort of stuff and try to just see where we are. Now, obviously, there's a load of like trial players in here and stuff that aren't going to be around, so we'll try to ignore those for now. Not that they've played any games for us, of course, but we can't exclude them without excluding a load of loan signings as well, so we'll have to do our best on this one. So I just kind of wanted to take a look at defenders this year. I mean, firstly, those who've actually played for us. So really, we're talking about Jacob Owen, Taylor, Martin Smith, Moles, Abubakar. Like, that's kind of the thing. And you can see, the further we go down here towards the sort of the likes of Elliot French and Van Omeren and Lesko and Abubakar, and the guys that were playing in those positions earlier this year were just not quite good enough, to be fair. I mean, Jacob Owen is right up there. Lawson, obviously, not that he's played there, but he's done well. Raphael Che, we've been even better since he's joined us. Like, that's the kind of the key thing here for me. Well, what we're really looking at is things like tackles. That's where we really want to be paying attention to. So tackles per game, Martin Smith, wow, actually, they're doing okay. They don't actually win that many tackles, but I guess they don't really need to. Their tackles won ratios are pretty solid for the most part. Jack did at 87, but, 92 for Owen, which is good. Interceptions as well, which is not fantastic, really. But I suppose these guys, Abubakar's played a decent number of minutes, but it's really hard to tell, whether that's because they're in certain positions and whatnot. Like, team conceded per 90 minutes. It's definitely these guys here, like Taylor, Owen, Lawson, and Shea. Even though only two of them played at centre-back, it's very clear that that's the sort of the formula. When you look at some of these guys, we're conceding double, triple the number of goals, quite frankly. Let's take a little look at the fullbacks. Obviously, there's a lot of crossover between a lot of these players, but you can see, once again, Sam Gibson. Interesting. So on that left-hand side, we've got Ollie Humphrey there at 2 points per game. Rob Toomey, roughly the same, but Sam Gibson has done bits. 2.46 points per game is a very large number. Now, I don't know how he actually directly compares. Now, what we do in a normal one of these is we'd actually isolate a lot of players, but because it's there's going to be such a squad churn, we're not going to do that for today, because it does take quite a long while to sort out all the filters and whatnot. But at the end of the day, I think that Sam Gibson, I mean, he's a permanent player, which is good. He really does seem to have something about that. Like, Rob, he's worse in the air. He's won less headers, I should say. Oh, no, he's not. Look at this. 93% headers won is very, very good. He's nowhere near as good at dribbling, but his crossing is better. And he's got a decent number of assists, comparatively speaking, in the sense that he's got one. Doesn't create as many chances, but interesting. It does make you think about the fact that perhaps Sam Gibson could be a good starter for us next year. He's got good determination. I think there's a lot of room for him to improve. So that's interesting. On the right, really the only option is Raphael Shea. And frankly, he's up there as well, which is good news. Not so many crosses completed for him, but I still like him. He makes a lot of tackles too, which is very, very nice. He's kind of a harrying kind of player, and I think him and Gibson could be good, but I do want to have more players as backup potentially on that right-hand side for next season, because we don't really have a lot there, and it's going to be even less next year as some players turn, they sort of leave. We've got some options, but I think the only option we've really got at right back is Zakawani Malango, I think he's from Dr. Congo, and he's a very, very young player. And they're going to be joined by some of our youth players as well, don't get me wrong. We really need to take a little look at those, and I'll probably do that at the start of next season, sort of to go through those, get some training in for them, and show you which ones we're really excited about, because none of them really stood out to me. They've got the high potential, but it's really hard to know what that means at this level, unfortunately. So that's for defensive midfielders. Once again, it seems that the Lawson-Eldakin partnership is definitely the key one. Moles, you can see an instant drop in points per game. Same with Lee Murphy. I mean, they're very young, don't get me wrong, but Lee Murphy, we really did not do that well when he was in there, and his determination is a real downside to him, unfortunately. I mean, he's got good key passing, don't get me wrong, but you just see the difference in the amount of points we win with Danny Lawson and Ben Eldakin in there. Now, we won't probably have Lawson back, but I think I'm more than happy with the idea that we can probably find a 3 or 4 star player. In fact, I think we'll be able to find quite a lot. I think you'll be surprised, actually, with how many good quality players we're going to be able to bring in next summer. With that budget we've got, obviously I'm not going to spend all of it because it's way too much and I don't see us earning that money back. So I'm going to look to spend probably about half of it to keep our wage spending in a reasonable level. And then, I mean, the sky's the limit really from there. I think we can really build a decent side out of that to give ourselves a chance of getting promoted again next season, to be honest. And I know we're going to nearly have to because I feel like Blackhaven are only going to get stronger than they are right now. They're going to be getting more money next year. They're going to get some money from some transfers too, I would have thought, but they're going to really go after it next season, and they're going to have to because they're going to be expected to win that league. We're going to be expected to try and stay up. So the pressure's really going to be off us next season. But for once, I genuinely feel like we've got a really good chance at, again, if we're in the same division as Blackhaven, which we will probably be, and if there's only one promotion spot, then it looks like we may have to try and do the playoffs again. But I mean, never know. Maybe we can outplay. Maybe we'll finish above Blackhaven. That would be quite something. But I just think they're going to be way too good for us, unfortunately. So left side of midfielders, it's been between O'Keefe and Barley. I mean, look at the difference here. Michael Jones obviously was the worst, but he didn't really play much. But Alex O'Keefe, 2.25. Henry Barley did okay. Like, he was certainly not bad. When he came in, he did things for us. We didn't score as many goals, and we did concede more when he was in the team. Alex O'Keefe is definitely the jack of all trades there. The one thing Tyler Walker has going for him is he's got good determination, but he is so unbelievably slow. And you can see that he's got less than half the number of dribbles that the other two do. His crossing's fine, but he's never in a position to cross the ball. 13 assists for Alex O'Keefe this year is outrageously good. But we're going to be losing Jones, Barley. We're losing all of these guys, really. But I feel like, I mean, I could try and get Alex O'Keefe back, but honestly, I don't think we need him specifically. I think we just need a player that's like him that we can hopefully have as our own player, you know, rather than having to rely on loan so much. I think the plan for the summer is going to be build the squad out with players that I want to sign and really use the money on key areas to really boost the players and get them on proper contracts, some of them. And then, at the end, fill the gaps with any other players and some depth using loan signings because they'll be free. They're always free at this level, and it's basically like there's no risk to it, really. Particularly if we can do the terminate contract thing, and because there's no real transfer window, we can basically terminate them whenever the hell we like. So that's not too bad. And on the right, I mean, you can actually see that Callum Martin maybe performed slightly better than I gave him credit for. Although actually, that's not too bad. 2.2 is pretty solid. We scored more goals with him in the team and conceded around about the same. So maybe there was something to that. But then again, he played at right back quite a lot. So it's hard to say whether that's because he was playing instead of Adam Jones or because he was playing with Adam Jones. But again, you can see Jonesy was the man. Popple definitely not so good, and Dewsbury Hall didn't really play for us at that point. But he'll stick around. He's only 17, 16 years old. Those guys have definitely got some chance, but they've got low determination, low self-belief. They're not great personalities. That's the one downside to these guys. So we're definitely going to be looking to bring in other players there too, because Adam Jones will be 32 midway through next season, and he's not going to be able to maintain that. His physicals are going to start to decline a lot, particularly as we're a semi-professional side. We're going to finish up with the strikers. Now, obviously, a lot of these guys wouldn't have played. Some of these guys were, like, for example, Sam Watts. We never got him on the pitch because we didn't want to. He was useless, but we didn't have any way of cancelling the loan deal. So that's one thing I learned of some potential trial players. I mean, look at these guys. I mean, the determination is quite poor on these guys, which makes me a little bit more scared of playing them. But you could see Ben Mills, 2 points per game. Really, really solid. Overton, 2.1. Even better as it goes. And Ellis Williamson at 2.42 points per game is astonishingly good. We score a decent amount of goals with him in the team. We're very good defensively with him in the team. Not that that's a huge sign, him per se, but hey, the guy scores goals. Like, it's undeniable. He's got 9 goals so far in 16 starts. Like, he's played 1,400 minutes and he's got 9 goals. Whereas you double that and you think he would have a player that's played twice the number of minutes would have like 18 goals. So fact is, he's outperforming Ben Mills, quite simply. He's actually our best performing striker, in fact. In fact, both of those two have outperformed Ben Mills in front of goal as well. So that's very kind of interesting that these guys, and all 3 of them, this is the kind of good thing about this, all 3 of those strikers are permanent players of ours. We'll have all 3 of these guys next season, and they're only going to get better. They're all really young. This is really good news. I think and we've got them on the right training to really boost the parts of them that I want to improve on. Now, that's not to say I won't look for some other guys in the summer. I absolutely will. But I think if we don't find them, I really do want one more, though, like another sort of Ben Mills-esque player to play alongside. But we're going to have a really strong strike force that have got a lot of goals in them. Like, they got 35 goals between the 3 of them last season, and that's really, really nice. Assists-wise, Ben Mills was definitely the standout there, though. Like, he really was. So much better at providing chances for the others. So that's maybe what it is, because he's the pressing forward. He still scores a lot of goals because he played the most minutes, but he's really good at creative stuff. That's the key thing. Like, he contributed to 26 goals, whereas Williamson only did 10 and Overton only did 12. So that's a real big effort for Ben Mills, and that's why he has the best rating of all of them, frankly. So yeah, I'm completely content with that, and I think we will improve next year. I expect to see at least 10, 15 signings in the summer. Huge amount of squad churn, but that's just what it's like at this level, unfortunately. And that's one of those things we're going to have to get used to as we're playing in the lower leagues of English football. So that concludes our analysis video today. It's a little bit of a shorter one, don't get me wrong. Once we start getting into the period where we've got more permanent players, so maybe even as soon as the end of next season, we'll start to break it down a little bit more, because it's really difficult to plan for stuff and looking at certain players when you aren't going to be using that player next season. So, but I think the general fact of the matter is we want good pace on the wings, both defensively and offensively. We want strikers with decent pace as well, but like that's the one thing. If we could get a striker with faster pace than all of these guys, that could be a real game changer. Maybe someone with a bit of height as well. I don't know, even though we do low crosses. We do want another defensive midfielder. That's an area we've got to strengthen in. Centre-backs are looking good. Really, really good. Full-backs definitely need some more backup. I'd like a new goalkeeper as well. Even though Sherry Donovan's been amazing, he's not going to be able to keep doing that, surely, because he's really not that good. It's just, for whatever reason, the guy has done mad things, and he has genuinely been amazing. And I think the reason why is because a lot of the chances we give up that causes him to make saves are one-on-ones, and you know what one-on-ones are like on this game, and as a result, it's boosting his save stats quite a lot. But I feel like other goalkeepers would be capable of doing that too, but they'd be better at saving the goals like Mata scored against us in the first playoff game. Those kind of goals, I feel like other goalkeepers might have a chance at saving those and could bring that down even further. That's the theory. Anyway, so I want to do a word of the day. And the word of the day is sanitize, because Em's left this hand sanitizer gel on the desk. So there you go. Use that in a sentence if you would, lads. So if you've enjoyed this and you want to see more of these kind of videos, then do drop a like. That would be tremendous. And if you're new to the channel and this is the first video of mine that you've seen, then strange choice, but nevertheless, I hope you enjoyed it. I stream on Twitch as well on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so do check that out. We're doing a bit of Uni Al Madeira. It's going quite swimmingly, to be honest, guys. And yeah, hold your gun, capybara. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.